look for senior Troy Lewis to supply offensive punch from the backcourt. After suffering a broken foot in the offseason, Lewis leads the Boilermakers in scoring. The inside strength is supplied by Todd Mitchell, who's also back from an offseason injury. Mitchell's 22 points a game give Purdue the inside-outside balance needed in the Big Ten. Bob Donewald's Illinois State Redbirds have their work cut out for them tonight. Donewald will rely on center Tony Holofield in tonight's first game.
We're at Horton Fieldhouse in Normal, Illinois, home of the Illinois State Redbirds. And tonight, 11th-ranked Purdue takes on Illinois State. And good evening, everyone. I'm Wayne Larrabee with Jim Gibbons. If you take a look at this matchup, you've got Purdue coming off a disappointing loss to Iowa State in the Big Apple NIT. Illinois State, meanwhile, this is their season opener. These two teams, though, we know one thing for sure, they're going to go at one another.
Wayne, I watched both of these teams practice here yesterday. Intense would be the word that best described the workout. I think both of these teams reflect the personality of their coaches. Three things you can be sure of. These teams will be ready, they will play together, and they will play with great intensity.
But, Jim, we've got some major changes in the starting lineup due to disciplinary reasons for Purdue. Troy Lewis and Everett Stevens will not start here tonight. They probably will play, but they won't start. Bill Reed, a freshman guard, will start at one position. On the other side will be a sophomore by the name of Tony Lewis will also start in that ball game. If you take a look at this situation for Illinois State, they're going to be without Matt Taphorn here tonight. He's got a stress fracture to his right leg. These two teams really going to go at one another. We expect a spirited ball game. Let's go to John Saunders in the Sports Center.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. The Purdue Boilermakers and the Illinois State Redbirds coming your way in just a moment. First of all, let us tell you what we will have coming your way at halftime. Of course, scores and highlights from around the nation. And we'll take a look at the Boilermakers, a team that has overachieved during the regular season, however, that has run into problems come tournament times. We'll take a look at just what the tournament problems have been for the Boilermakers. It's coming your way in just a moment from Horton Fieldhouse, so stay with us. Normal, Illinois is your site as the Illinois State Redbirds take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Stay with us.
Wayne Larrabee and Jim Gibbons, we are at Horton Fieldhouse. Since 1963, Illinois State has won about 80% of their games here in this building, and they are a tough foe to handle if you're the visiting team. And that's the situation for Gene Cady and the Purdue Boilermakers out of the Big Ten Conference against the Missouri Valley Conference Redbirds in Illinois State. There you get a look at the capacity crowd on hand here tonight. Horton Fieldhouse, the home of the ISU Redbirds. Let's go to the public address announcer, Steve Adams.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Horton Fieldhouse. This is Redbird basketball. Tonight's non-conference game features our guests from West Lafayette, Indiana, and the Big Ten Conference, the Boilermakers of Purdue University, and our Redbirds of Illinois State University. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing tonight's starting lineups. At forward for Purdue, 6'7", from Toledo, Ohio, a senior, 33, Todd Mitchell. At forward for Illinois State, 6'8", from Detroit, Michigan, a senior, 32, Cliff Peterson. At forward for Purdue, 6'8", from Decatur, Indiana, a junior, number 30, Kip Jones. Forward for Illinois State, 6'7", North Chicago, a sophomore, 52, Gerard Coleman. At center for the Boilermakers, 6'10", from Chicago Mount Carmel, a junior, 35, Melvin McCants. In the middle for Illinois State, 6'7", from Oak Park, Michigan, a senior, 45, Tony Holofield. At guard for Purdue, 6'4", from Rock Island, Illinois, a freshman, number 5, Billy Reed. At guard for the Redbirds, 6'4", from Indianapolis, Indiana, a senior, 23, Jeff Harris. At guard for Purdue, 6'3", from Fort Wayne, Indiana, a sophomore, 25, Tony Jones. And at guard for Illinois State, 6'3", from Peoria Richwoods, a sophomore, 25, Randy Blair. the Purdue coach in his 8th season at Purdue, Gene Cady, and the Illinois State coach in his 10th season, Bob Donewald.
There you have the starting lineups and the coaches for tonight's game. Will return to Normal, Illinois after these messages. There are the officials for tonight's game as assigned by the Missouri Valley Conference. Woody Mayfield on the left, Jim Bain in the middle, and Rich Eichhorst on the right side. Keys to victory here tonight, Jim Gibbons.
Well, for the Purdue Boilermakers, the big thing Gene Cady says is we've got to respond to that to the Iowa State loss. We've got to control Jeff Harris. He led the Missouri Valley Conference in three-point shooting last year. Their shot selection has to be better. Their defense, the last 5 games, Wayne, they have been giving up more than 90 points a game, and he's not happy about that. For the Redbirds, they've got to stop Purdue's transition. Purdue's big people really run the floor well. They've got to control, obviously, Lewis and Mitchell when they get in the game because they're their 2 leading scorers, and then they've got to pressure the perimeter because Purdue has some people that can hit from 3-point range.
All right, the Redbirds in the white uniforms, Purdue in the dark uniforms, and the tap controlled by Illinois State. This is Randy Blair. Opening minute of play in this first half. Man-to-man defense for Purdue at the outset.
A lot of touches on the part of Illinois State because they want to reduce this to a half-court team if they can.
Purdue has great quickness in addition to brute strength inside. Redbirds of Illinois State don't mind a physical skirmish, but I wonder if they have the quickness to stay up with Purdue. There's Harris from 3-point range. Hollifield the rebound. Illinois State breaks on top first. This is Tony Jones getting the start of the backcourt in place of Everett Stevens tonight. We expect to see Stevens and Lewis play here tonight. They did not start the ball game. Bill Reed, the other guard for Purdue, a freshman. His brother Steve Reed, many of you Boilermaker fans will recall. Kip Jones inside. Redbirds hustling for the ball. Hollifield lost it out of play. Oh, last touch by Purdue.
The one matchup I was watching defensively there, Wayne, was the fact that Cliff Peterson, who is Illinois State's best defensive specialist, was guarding Todd Mitchell. I'm anxious to see who is going to guard Troy Lewis when he gets in, but right now it's Peterson against Mitchell.
This is Randy Blair, number 25 in white. There's Cliff Peterson. Peterson gets the step. Melvin McCants the rebound. Here's Tony Jones in transition. One thing about Purdue, they'll pressure you on both ends. Kip Jones down the lane. The scramble is on, and Gerard Coleman, the sophomore from North Chicago, comes away. Peterson to Hollifield. Yes, and a foul. Score the field goal.
Hollifield has great quickness to the ball. Now, he's also got a strong body. He's 6'7", 212. You saw it right there, Wayne. He forced the contact, and then he finished the shots. Bob Donewald refers to him as kind of a sneaky player inside because, boy, he reads well. He understands the flow of the game, and he gets himself into a position to score inside.
At 16 points against the Soviets in an exhibition loss earlier this year, he has all 5 points in the ball game thus far. Almost 2 minutes in, first half of play. Boilermakers yet to score. Reed to McCants. The block down low and a foul coming up. Gerard Coleman, the freshman, the sophomore, picks up the foul. That's his first on the team.
No question about the call. There was just a little bit of a breakdown defensively. Now watch. Number 45, Hollifield, he didn't have himself spotted between the passer and the man getting the ball, and he didn't see where the ball was coming from, and that's why they got the entry pass in.
Melvin McCants, just a 55.6% free throw shooter in the first 2 games of the year on 5 of 9 shooting. He's now 5 of 10. Puts the first point of the night on the board for Purdue.
There's the 2-2-1. As soon as they make that free throw, they go right into the 2-2-1, and it works.
Randy Blair lost him, and then Kip Jones couldn't handle the pass from Todd Mitchell.
All right, That's an error that was caused just by sheer hustle. And from a coaching standpoint, Wayne, you don't mind that kind of a thing. The press was effective, and when it is effective, they're going to keep it right on.
Boy, they're really pressuring Randy Blair, the sophomore from Peoria. Cliff Peterson tries to clear it to Harris. Harris forced the pass down low. Melvin McCants with the interception.
See, that's the tempo Purdue wants, but it's not the tempo that Illinois State wants.
This is McCants. And a foul. Offensive foul on Melvin McCants, I believe. Will the basket count? That's the question.
Offensive foul. Cannot be a basket with an offensive foul. He's got it, no basket.
Unless he did it after the shot was released.
No basket.
No basket is the call by Jim Bain. Bain is an official in both the Missouri Valley Conference and has been for a long time in the Big Ten.
Gene Katie got up, wasn't complaining about the call. He's going to make his first substitution with Steve.
Steve Scheffler coming into the ball game. Scheffler, a sophomore from Ada, Michigan, was recruited by Bo Schembechler as a tight end. The Michigan football program.
Here's a man that you try to get 3 or 4 good minutes out of. He's an inside player, a banger, will do a lot of screening, do a lot of rebounding, but they're expecting big things from him.
Randy Blair. There's Hollifield, number 45, and Illinois State content to work the ball. Hollifield gets the step, though, once again on the force. Coleman won't go. Reed claims the rebound.
Boy, that was a great reaction to the offensive board by Coleman.
Hollifield on the save successfully to Peterson. Here come the Redbirds. They lead by 4.
See how smart he was, Wayne? He didn't throw the ball back in right under the opponent's basket. He got it to one of his men in the corner.
Harris on the penetration. Here's Peterson. Scheffler garners the rebound. Horton Fieldhouse in Normal, Illinois, the home of the Illinois State Redbirds. Purdue trailing by 4. 3 minutes in, first half of play. I'm Wayne Larrabee with Jim Gibbons. We expect a good one here tonight. Kip Jones. Mitchell, the intended receiver. The pass stolen by Blair. Harris on the lead. Lost the handle and knocked out of bounds. It'll belong to Purdue as Peterson could not handle it.
See, that's one of the few times you'll see Illinois State go for that fast break. But that time, Jeff Harris got out in front. A good pass, they would have had a 2-pointer.
Brian Burning reports on, replacing Kip Jones in the Purdue lineup. 5-1 our score. 16:45 left to go. First half of play. Illinois State leading Purdue.
You watch on transition basketball, Wayne, because I watched practice Illinois State on Saturday. Watched them again yesterday. They put the stopwatch on those players. They have to get across that 10-second line in transition within 2 seconds. And then you don't run with your back to the ball and you get right to your man. And boy, they've been doing it so far.
Tony Jones, and we've got a whistle away from the ball. Jones had the basketball and a foul coming up inside against the Boilermakers. Rich Eichhorst with the call on the freshman, Bill Reed.
See, that's one of the points of emphasis this year in college basketball. Illegal screening, and the responsibility on any screens, Wayne, is on the screener. And that time he caught it moving.
3 team fouls now on Purdue. Redbirds work the ball. Boy, those Boilermakers are quick. Good quickness throughout this team.
Both teams using very pressure-packed man-to-man defenses.
Woody Mayfield has a call away from the ball, and it's on Scheffler. Steve Scheffler picks up his first. 4 team fouls now on Purdue. Todd Starks reporting on for Illinois State. Replacing Randy Blair. Blair has played well this year in the preseason. There's Blair sitting down. Starks has some good quickness. The inbounds pass. We've got a blocking foul called right away at Gerard Coleman. Coleman, the sophomore from Illinois State, picks up his second personal. That's the second of the team.
Both of these teams run the offenses so that screening is critical. Illinois State runs a motion game with passing and screening and movement, and Purdue uses a lot of back screens and down screens, so you've got to call those illegal screens or you're putting the defense at a disadvantage.
Tony Jones of the interior feed to Mitchell. First field goal of the game for the Boilermakers. Almost 4 minutes in first half. Harris freed up. His first from the field. The lead again is 4 for Illinois State. From the outside, three-point try by Reed. This is Peterson. Baseball feed ahead to Starks. Almost lost it out of play. Then forced the pass and threw it away. Bill Reed on the intercept. Harris nearly broke it up. Tony Jones on the retrieve.
25, Tony Jones.
Harris getting up a little slow. Looked like he almost hurt himself, but he did what an Illinois State team does. He went to the floor to get that basketball.
2-point lead for Illinois State, and the steal by the freshman Bill Reed. This is Todd Mitchell. Tony Jones sets up the offense for Purdue. They could tie with a field goal. Pass inside to Scheffler, knocked out a play. Good hustle by Tony Hollifield of Illinois State. Some changes coming up for Illinois State. And there's Gene Cady on the Purdue bench. We're going to get a break of the action right here. 14:57 left to be played, first half. The Redbirds have the lead at the moment. The Boilermakers are charging. I want to remind you the announcers for this game have been contracted for and approved by Creative Sports Marketing and the Missouri Valley Conference. Any use, rebroadcast, or other transmission of this game without the written consent of the Missouri Valley Conference is prohibited. 14:57 left to be played. First half, Purdue shooting 40% from the field. Illinois State 3 of 8, 38%.
Neither one burning it up right now, Wayne, but sometimes that can be misleading because I think both of these teams are playing really aggressive man-to-man defense, and that's some of the reasons sometimes why your shooting percentages are so poor.
Jim, that's what we expected coming in.
Exactly.
You're watching the Boilermakers on the attack in the black uniforms, gold and white trim. Everett Stevens in the ball game for Purdue. Scheffler with the turn. Burning the rebound. Todd Starks takes the back tap. Redbirds leading by 2. A quickness of Everett Stevens. Todd Starks recovers. Cliff Peterson out at the point for Illinois State. Tony Jones knocked it out of play. Every time someone from Illinois State touches the ball, they've got a hand to the face.
Everett Stevens and Tony Jones are really playing great defense. They have good hands and good quickness. And I'll tell you, you play defense, the two most important things, Wayne, are the ability to anticipate and a willingness to sustain your effort. And boy, that's what they're doing.
Randy Blair, number 25 for Illinois State. John Pemberton is in the ball game. There he is, number 53. This is Starks. Had it poked away from behind. 4 seconds to go on the shot clock. Hollifield had it knocked out of play. Last touch by the Boilermakers. They'll reload the clock. Oh, no, they won't. 5 seconds.
23, Jeff Harris.
Jeff Harris reporting back on for the Redbirds.
And that's a good substitution right now, Wayne, if he's going to try to get the ball in his hands for that three-point shot.
Hollifield leaves. 5 seconds on the shot clock now. This is Harris on the inbound. Todd Starks lets it go on a force, an air ball. Tony Jones the rebound. Here's Troy Lewis. Lewis with a good move to the lane. Here come the Redbirds. Randy Blair picked off the rebound, and on the dribble he sets it up. 2-point Illinois State lead. 13:34 to go. First half of play.
Tony Jones on Jeff Harris. Good matchup.
Starks trying to take advantage of the pick. Pemberton is the open man. John Pemberton, a sophomore from Bloomington, Illinois.
Played in 25 games as a freshman. They redshirted him last year. I was surprised. I didn't think he would come that far out away from the basket. I thought they'd let him go to force him to shoot it. He took it, he hit. That's certainly got to do something for the confidence level.
Tell you what, Pemberton may be a key, according to Bob Donwald, for this ball club this year. Everett Stevens, good up fake. Tap inside for Ryan Burning.
See what happened. Cliff Peterson was going, he went up too soon, and the ball was coming down when he had already come down.
Jeff Harris, boy, they haven't let him touch the ball much from three-point range, have they? He's one of the best in the country. Led the Valley in three-point shooting. Number 23 in right for Illinois State. Todd Starks. Oh, I don't believe that pass got all the way over to Peterson. He gets it back off the miss. Rebound is back tap by Pemberton to Tony Jones. Jones on the drive. Starks the rebound. Both teams struggling from the floor now, Jim.
Yeah, they are. The shooting percentages are low. First game for Illinois State, third game for Purdue. Playing on the road, those things are going to happen.
The first game on the road for Purdue. We've got a foul on Stevens. That's his first. It is the 5th on the team. Take a look at some of the substitutions. Peterson leaves and Tony Hollifield back in for Illinois State. Hollifield, the senior from Oak Park, Michigan. 16 points in that game against the Soviets. He's a tough player in the middle for Illinois State. Redbirds on the attack.
Now an interesting matchup because Lewis is guarding Harris. Look at how they're pressuring him outside that three-point line.
Todd Starks. Stevens the rebound. Quick outlet pass. I think somebody got crossed up on that one because Tony Lewis just let it go. Troy Lewis just let it go that time, and he could have retrieved it easily. I think he thought that they were trying to hit someone down for him.
Yeah, Gene not very happy about it, and he's making a substitution. But, boy, the most important possession you've got, as hard as you work on defense, as hard as Purdue does to get control of that basketball, when you get it, you have got to protect it.
Tip Jones in the ball game now, replacing Ryan Burning.
Obviously, Wayne, when you're struggling like this offensively, every possession becomes more critical.
This is Jeff Harris. Illinois State leading it by 2. Randy Blair. Five-second violation against the Redbirds. 11:40 left to go. 9-7 Illinois State leading at the moment. Both sides struggling. For a New Year's Day shootout for all the marbles in the Orange Bowl. Here you get a look at the situation here. Horton Fieldhouse in Normal, Illinois. Redbirds of Illinois State leading, but just hanging on both sides, struggling right now, Jim.
Well, Purdue's shooting 28%, 3 out of 11, Wayne, and Illinois State is shooting only 4 of 13. They're at 31. Obviously, both teams are struggling offensively, and I just don't think they're executing and being patient enough offensively. Illinois State was to begin with, but then they got out of it. Neither team is taking the time and getting the touches in.
Purdue on the feed to Stevens. Beautiful feed from Troy Lewis.
Set play on the timeout. That's very good coaching on Gene Katie's part.
Impressively do the Boilermakers tie the score with 11:20 to go. First half of play. This is the opener for Illinois State. Third game for Purdue. Harris from the outside is heard from again. His second from the field. He's got 4. Harris nearly triggered a steal. Troy Lewis from three-point range.
Oh, right back. You've got 2 premier three-point shooters in Lewis and Harris. And the ironic thing, Wayne, is they're guarding one another. Bob Donewald thinks that's an advantage because in transition he feels Harris can come right down and pick up Lewis.
Starts with a marvelous move on the penetration to the baseline. Stevens right back for Purdue. Fouled inside. Jeff Harris can't believe the call.
See, that's interesting officiating because Jim Bain came charging in. But Woody Mayfield was closer. He was underneath and came out to make the call, which is the way you operate. And Jim Bain let him make the call, and he had the block.
Jeff Harris picks up his first. That's the third on Illinois State. Everett Stevens at the line. 85.7% from the free throw line.
Ironically, Wayne, this is the man at the line that Bob Donewald thinks that Illinois State has to stop. They have to control Purdue's offense, which he feels means they've got to control Stevens because he thinks he's the catalyst to this basketball team.
Everett Stevens converts on a pair at the line. Full court pressure by Purdue. Todd Starks. Harris wide open from 3. Jeff Harris has 7 points. There's Mitchell. Right back for Purdue, and Todd Mitchell has 2 for the field of 4 points. We're tied at 16. 10-14 left to go in the half. Harris again off the pick, this time by Coleman. Peterson gets it back for 2. No, he traveled.
Boy, that was a great reaction to the basketball. I mean to tell you, he may have traveled, but boy, he was a long way from that basket, Wayne. Nobody on Purdue, and that's what Gina's unhappy about. Nobody got into his body. But boy, for the youngsters watching, if you want to talk about going to a basketball and why people get rebounds, that's the reason.
We're halfway through the first half. Stevens on the wing. There's Lewis. Troy Lewis it out. Everett Stevens, the starting backcourt, is intact at the moment on the floor. They did not start the game. Kip Jones inside had it stripped away by Holofield, and the foul is called. His first personal. That is 4 team fouls now on the Redbirds. Boilermakers have 5 team fouls. There's a look at Gene Katie. Boy, it already looks like it's been a long season for him.
Well, listen, when you're picked anywhere from number 1 to number 7 in the country, you've got 4 or 5 starters returning, and about 8 out of your 9 or 10 top scorers. That puts an awful lot of pressure on you.
Some of the preseason polls had Purdue picked for number 4, and
sure,
many around the Big Ten feel the Boilermakers are one of the favorites for the championship. So that's a lot of pressure going into the season. Kip Jones at the line.
They talked after the Iowa State game about goals. One of them was that they wouldn't lose at home this year, and that went right down the drain. Now they're talking about winning the Big Ten championship and getting to the Final Four, and those are lofty goals.
1 out of 2 for Kip Jones at the line. Tony Holofield the rebound. Redbirds are trailing by a point now. 9:35 to go, first half. Randy Blair, who's played well in the preseason, as I mentioned earlier. Cliff Peterson.
See, he picked up his dribble. Boy, you cannot pick up your dribble. He won dribble, and he was out of luck. They overplayed him and almost got the 5-second count.
Blair had it blocked from behind by Mitchell. Holofield recovers, and he's fouled.
That is exactly what I was talking about, Wayne. Bob Donewall referred to it a couple. Now watch Holofield. That's being in the right place. But see, instead of standing there and being a spectator, he moved right to the basket when he saw the double team. Now take a look. Watch the pick that's setting him up. There's the screen right there. Harris got bounced. Now watch the pass. See, as soon as the double team came in, he had the presence of mind to break and go to that basket. He's responsible. Plus a good pass.
Foul on Kip Jones is his first. There's Bob Donewald. His team leading by 1. At the free throw line, Tony Holofield. Holofield, 68% free throw shooter last year, connects on the free throw. He now has 8 points in the game. 8 of the 19 Redbird points.
There's the double low for Purdue now. A lot of down screening and back screening.
Mitchell. They work it to Stevens, and we've got a foul down low. It's on Kip Jones, his second.
You and I talked about it, Wayne, and we both felt this was going to be a very physical basketball game. Let's take a look. Now, watch Kip Jones. There, see, you cannot do that. You cannot take that defensive position away from that man. That's just too flagrant. You cannot get away with that.
Kip Jones has a seat on the bench, and back into the game, Ryan Burning. Burning, a sophomore out of Lafayette, Indiana. Good shooter. Tony Holofield, 1-1 as Purdue goes over the foul limit.
It's one thing to fight for position, Wayne. It's another thing to put your team in that kind of a position by making an unnecessary foul. There's no way the officials can possibly miss that.
Holofield, I said, a 68% free throw shooter. He's a 63% shooter from the floor, 47% last year from the line. 1 out of 2 at the free throw line for Holofield. He's made 3 out of 4, though, here tonight. 3-point lead for Illinois State. This is Stevens for Purdue. Stevens from 3-point range. Everett Stevens with his first 3-pointer of the night. He has 5 in the game, and we're tied at 20.
He's got that 3-point range. He made 10 in a row at one stage last year, so he can ding it.
Jeff Harris, Tony Jones, right on him. Good feed. Peterson. Cliff Peterson with his first 2 points of the game.
That's good recognition, good entry pass, good execution.
Starks with that pass right through the defense. In hockey, we'd say right through the crease. Stevens in the lane. Burning the rebound, had it knocked away. Redbirds hustling, so are the Boilermakers, and a foul coming up on Todd Starks. That's one of those hustle fouls, isn't it, Coach?
It absolutely is. That is great hustle. The only problem is that Tony Jones is still really limping right now. Certainly not a thing intentional about it. It's just one of those things that Gene Cady coaches it the same way a lot of people. That ball goes on the floor, and you want it, you got to go get it. And that's exactly what Todd Starks was trying to do.
7:56 to go, first half of play. We'll take a break with the Redbirds in front. Weibring Day, and I don't have to introduce this man to many of you who watch golf on ESPN. D.A. Weibring coming off one of his best years on the Pro Tour, and 1975 graduate of Illinois State. Great to have you back.
It's great to be back. Great game.
Yeah, it is a good game so far. Talk about your season. I mean, Western Open had to be a big thrill for you to win that tournament.
Well, it was great. Growing up in Illinois and winning my first event at Quad City, I kidded around that it was the Illinois Slam. and so many of these folks here were up there pulling me through.
Well, that's great. D.A. Weibring, great to see you. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Wayne.
All right.
Good luck, Redbirds.
There's the Redbird head coach, Bob Donwalt. His team at the moment leading by 2. We'll get a look at the field goal percentages. A little bit improved from the last juncture we checked.
I would say a great deal improved. And I think the execution on both ends has improved also, Wayne.
Both teams came out playing that aggressive defense. That could take its toll on the shooting percentages. Ryan Burning in traffic. Randy Blair takes the back tap rebound. Well, Blair has played a lot tonight. He's played well in the preseason. Coach Donwalt gave him a start here tonight. Reward his efforts.
Played very well against the Russians, and he's been playing very well in practice ever since.
Jeff Harris, and a little too close for comfort is the defense by Everett Stevens. His second personal. Boilermakers have been over the limit.
There's a young man, Wayne, that really knows how to get himself into position to shoot. That's the same with Troy Lewis.
Got a look at the substitution as again Scheffler reports back on. Steve Scheffler for Purdue. 1-on-1 opportunity for Jeff Harris at the line. Rebound taken by Troy Lewis. This is Tony Jones. Purdue with a basket, a conventional field goal could tie it right here. This could give them the lead, and it does. 3-point shot by Troy Lewis, his second from 3-point range. He has 6 points.
He curled right around and just what I was talking about. Rubbed his man right off. They didn't make the switch, and he was wide open. There's the same thing right there.
Jeff Harris off the mark. Tony Jones back the other way. Tony Jones on the drive. Beautiful move. Jones with 4. 3-point lead for Purdue, their largest of the evening. Redbirds on the attack, trailing by 3. Pass thrown away. Intended for Randy Blair. He appeared to break from the inside. The pass thrown more to the sidelines. Gene Cady on the Purdue bench, pacing anxiously.
Any communications on bad passes, Wayne, I've said it before, the ball handler should never think for the cutter. He's got to know what the cutter is doing before he passes the ball. And it's the fault of the passer and not the cutter.
Gerard Coleman back into the game, replacing Randy Blair for Illinois State. Troy Lewis in the corner. That's Tony Jones. 6:15 to go in the half. Purdue leading by 3. Todd Mitchell. There's Ryan Burning.
He can shoot, I'll tell you. He might not drive to the basket, but he has good range, and Illinois State knows it.
Troy Lewis with that quick release. Peterson hustling on the rebound. Nicely done.
Didn't even have inside position, but he went after that ball, and he grabbed it.
Todd Starks, the interior feed, Coleman. Mitchell is there to claim the board for Purdue. Troy Lewis slows it down. Last year, the Boilermakers scored a 96-54 decision over Illinois State. Boilermakers recover. Tony Jones out front. Todd Stark's right at him. Stark's an excellent defensive player. Traveling the call on Troy Lewis.
Boy, you can credit that to the defensive Jeff Harris. Tried to set the screen for him, and instead of going behind, he just went right through the top of that screen, and that's what forced him to make that travel. And you can credit that defensively to Jeff Harris.
In 3 minutes since the Redbirds have scored, we've got 5:20 to go. First half of play. Harris leaves, and Randy Blair back in. There he is, number 25 in white. Purdue leading by 3. Starks, they'll give him the outside shot. Hollifield down low. Trying to muscle. I believe it was Burning who got a piece of it.
Sure, hit it on the way up, and that's good defense.
Bill Reed back into the game. Scheffler inside, leaned in, offensive foul. Steve Scheffler's second personal.
Well, let's take a look, Wayne, because the offensive man has to have a chance to come down. Now, did you think he had a chance to come down? That is really marginal and really close. That's obviously a tough call to make, but I think at that point the offensive player was put at a disadvantage because he wasn't able to catch the ball and come down.
Bob Donwall talking with one of the officials now. Apparently making a quick substitution. Harris back into the game, replacing Starks for Illinois State. 4:45 to go in the half. Boilermakers leading by 3. This is Harris, number 23. Randy Blair out front for Illinois State. Guarded by the freshman Bill Reed. Harris trying to feed it inside to Coleman, and it's taken away by the Boilermakers. Mitchell. Todd Mitchell reloads the offense to Tony Jones.
Jeff played that sequence right there, Wayne, with no purpose. He just left his feet past the ball, didn't know where he was passing it, and just played out of control.
Tony Jones sets up the play for the Boilermakers. Coming up on 4 minutes left to be played in the half. Tony Jones, that double pump and utilizing a full rim. His third for the field. He's got 6. Now the lead is 5 for Purdue.
This is what coaches refer to as spurt time, Wayne, right before half, and this is where Illinois State has got to get themselves out of this cold spell and not let Purdue run off another 5 or 6 points.
At 5 minutes since they've scored. Blocking foul coming up on the Boilermakers as Cliff Peterson took it to the hole. Scheffler, I believe, the guilty party. It's on Scheffler, and it's his third. Scheffler with 3, Melvin McCants with 2. Kip Jones with 2 personal fouls. Everett Stevens with 2 personals for Purdue. Everett Stevens back into the lineup for the Boilermakers. And John Brugos on for the first time tonight. He replaces Scheffler in the lineup for Purdue. Dave Stack and Jeff Arnold, 2 veterans on this Purdue ball club. 2 seniors are sitting out this semester due to academic problems. They'll be back in January, but right now Purdue's a little thin on the bench.
Well, the Arnold loss does hurt them. It really does, because he played well for them last year. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is it forces you to play the young people on the bench, and that's exactly what Gene is doing. He's playing Ryan Burning, and he's playing Steve Scheffler.
Cliff Peterson converts on his first. That snaps a streak of over almost 5 minutes where they didn't score. 4:53 to be exact. Second by Peterson, connects on a pair. 3:34 left to go. We are first half of play from Horton Fieldhouse on the campus of Illinois State University. That's the story. Country. Halftime update with John Saunders coming up. 3:34 left to go here. Purdue leading by 3. Purdue shooting 48%, 8 of their last 16, though. Beginning to heat up. Illinois State 9 of 23, 39% for the game from the field. Purdue on the attack. Stevens on the drive. Brian Burning is wide open. Cliff Peterson up high for the rebound. Brugos guilty of the foul. John Brugos, his first personal. Purdue has been over the foul limit for some time. Only 5 team fouls to this point on Illinois State.
Brugos is a young man that was probably going to be redshirted until Arnold became academically ineligible. The young man, they think, has a ton of ability, Wayne, but he doesn't play as hard as they want him to play. And as soon as he learns to do it, he'll get a lot more playing time.
Cliff Peterson now has 5 points. He had 17 in the game against the Soviets. Substitution coming in for Purdue. Todd Mitchell reports back on, replacing the freshman Bill Reed. Peterson with his second upcoming. Illinois State led the Soviets 33-32 at halftime. Ended up losing 71-62. It gave them a good ball game.
They were in it until with about 10 minutes left when they went into a real dry spell.
Mitchell down low with a wild shot, draws a foul. See what the call is. Rich Eichhorst stand the call. Bob Donwald is upset. Pushing foul coming up against Illinois State. Coach Donwald not at all happy. Tony Hollifield guilty of the foul, I believe.
I suspect he's unhappy, Wayne, because Jim Bain, and that's why he's talking to Jim Bain. Jim Bain was standing right underneath the basket, looking right at the play, and Rich Eichhorn was out here as an outside official. But boy, when you got that 3-man crew, and I officiated for enough years, when there are some things that you just can't see, and if you see it, you've got to call it.
Todd Mitchell at the free throw stripe. Puts in on his first. He has 5 points here tonight. Mitchell out of Toledo, Ohio, averaging 22 points and 7.5 rebounds a game, shooting 58% from the floor. Mike's good on a pair. The Purdue lead is 3. Coming up on 3 minutes left to go. First half of play. Cliff Peterson, number 32 for Illinois State. There's Hollifield in the corner, gets the step on Brugos. Brugos blocked it from behind. The foul is called.
Boy, that's very good recognition by Hollifield, Wayne. He waited. They cleared out. Most of the players were up towards the free throw line. He knew he had the baseline, and he suckered Brugos, a sophomore, into giving him, and he took that first big step. Now watch, see? Nobody's in the picture at all. They're going to clear out for him. Look at, boy, that's a good move to the basket right there. He would have been better off had he been able to come up the other side, because then he could have gotten his body between himself and Brugos, and there's no way he could have blocked it. He might have had a chance at a three-pointer.
Hollifield has made 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. And again, he was a free throw shooting liability a year ago. He has really come a long way. Started shooting much better from the free throw line late last season. And here tonight, he is, like I said, 4 out of 5. Seems to have solved whatever problem he had at the free throw stripe, and I jinxed him.
Well, when you shoot 47% on the year, you are a liability. That's nothing to do with you, pal.
When you're shooting better from the field than you are from the line, something is wrong. Stevens. Purdue sets it up. Brugos with the turn on the block. Purdue's lead is 4. 2:40 left to go in the half.
I would try to get that ball into Hollifield if Brugos is going to guard him. Let's see what Tony does.
Rod Coleman. Brugos up high for the rebound. This time the foul's on Hollifield. His 3rd personal. That is 7 on the team now. That's a significant foul in that regard.
Oh, I'd hope to tell you it is. We'll see if he gets him out between now and the last 2:28 before he picks up a 4th.
Hollifield leaves, a big John Pemberton, 6'9" sophomore, as I mentioned, from Bloomington, Illinois. Lake Park High School comes back on for Illinois State. There's a look at the Illinois State Brain Trust, Bob Donwald.
The ironic part about that is, and Bob just went over to talk to him, as they were talking about that very kind of a foul in some meetings that they had, Wayne, where they said if you've got to give up a basket or do some things, we can't afford to get in foul trouble.
Tony Jones back into the game for Purdue, replacing Everett Stevens. Brugos at the free throw stripe. He has 2 points here tonight. Purdue leading by 4. Make it 5. Brugos has seen action in 1 out of 2 games. Hasn't played a whole lot, just 1 minute of playing time thus far.
He can shoot that basketball. Watch the follow through on the free throw. I was watching him shoot free throws today. He has a nice feel, dip step right into the rim.
2:25 left to go in the half. Purdue with its largest lead of the evening. Redbirds of Illinois State on the attack. They have struggled offensively in the final 10 minutes of the first half. Jeff Harris with Troy Lewis right on him defensively. Harris threw it away. Todd Mitchell on the drive. Cliff Peterson is there to retrieve the errant shot. Under 2 minutes left to go in the half. This is Starks.
Boy, they are really overplaying the first pass. I mean, they are playing great defense right now.
Pemberton hits the deck with Tony Jones. Coleman down low, nowhere to go. Plenty of time in the shot clock. Peterson, they work to Coleman. 10 to go on the shot clock now. Redbirds have to look to the hoop. Peterson on a force. Rukos up high for the rebound. Purdue leading it by 6.
That I don't think is good shot selection, Wayne. I agree with you. It was a forced shot, and they still had enough time to get a better shot than that.
Troy Lewis. Todd Mitchell out front. Under a minute left to go now. Mitchell measures at the baseline. Here's Lewis for 3. Peterson the rebound for Illinois State. Crucial possession coming up here. Crucial in that you want to go out trailing by less than 6 points. 30 to go on the shot clock, 33 in the game. Harris. Now Peterson. 20 to go on the shot clock. Illinois State looking for the good shot. 14 to go on the shot clock. You get a look at the game clock on the screen. 5 to go on the shot clock. Peterson from deep. Gerard Coleman over the top on the rebound, and they're going to signal a jump ball. An alternating possession. It'll belong to Purdue. Gerard Coleman went over the top in rather dangerous fashion. Yep. A lot of times that's called a foul.
He did not come over the top in terms of crawling up his back, or it very well would have been, but he came from the side, which is the only thing that saved him from being called for a foul, Wayne. Good call. 2 seconds left to go. Sonny Roberts reports on, replacing Jeff Harris for Illinois State. Let's see how they extend the pressure. What you want to try to do is to get Purdue to try to come toward their backcourt right now to get this pass so that they're going the opposite way from the way they want to be going, obviously. Let's see how far down court he's going to throw it.
Ryan Burning on the deep pass. And it's picked away by Illinois State. Randy Blair. And we've come to the conclusion of the first half of play. Both teams struggled throughout much of this first half. But in the end, the Boilermakers were able to wear down the Redbirds, and at the moment at halftime, they have a 6-point lead. Let's go to John Saunders at the ESPN Sports Center.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. The Purdue Boilermakers, they did struggle for much of the first half. However, they come away at halftime with a 6-point lead, and Jim Gibbons.
All right, thank you very much, John Saunders. We're at halftime here, 6-point lead for the Purdue Boilermakers. I'll tell you something. We mentioned in the open these two teams would go at one another, and they certainly did.
Yeah, I think one team is shooting 34%, Wayne, Illinois State. You're not going to beat many people shooting 34%. Purdue is shooting 42. But I said early in the game that I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that both teams are playing as good a man-to-man pressure defense as you're going to see anybody play.
Purdue really extended their defense several times with that first half of play to full court. And really, the Redbirds were unable to take advantage of it for the most part.
Yeah, when they'll make a free throw and they'll go into a 1-2-1-1 or they'll go into a 2-2-1, then they'll put the pressure here, and you're right. There were many times when you think when they're overplaying you like that, it puts the advantage to the offensive player once you have that basketball, but they rotate so well and give that weak side help so well that they've taken Illinois State out of its offensive game.
Illinois State led throughout the first 10 minutes of the game. However, in the second 10 minutes of the first half, the Redbirds managed just 11 points, and now they trailed at halftime.
There were about 3 spells in it. Purdue scored 1 point in the first 4 minutes. Then Illinois State hit the 5-minute dry spell, and then Purdue got in it late in the first half, which is what you want to do.
We'll be back with halftime stats and the second half coming up next. Wayne Larrivee and Jim Gibbons at Horton Fieldhouse in Normal, Illinois, on the campus of Illinois State University. 6-point lead for Purdue over Illinois State. Let's take a look at the statistics really quick. Field goal percentages reflect the defense being played here tonight. Purdue shooting 42%, Illinois State 9 of 26, 35%. 3-point range, Purdue 3 of 6, and I'll tell you the key right there, Troy Lewis has hit a pair from 3-point range.
And Jeff Harris is only 1 for 3.
Free throw shooting in the first half of play, about even. And the rebounding totals right about even. It's been that kind of a first half.
Surprising, Wayne, because Illinois State played most of the first half with a 3-guard offense, but their quickness to the board was very good.
And their hustle, I might add. Take a look at the bench scoring.
Look at that.
Big question mark. Purdue's bench in the early season. They contributed 19 points a night, but you've got to understand that Everett Stevens and Troy Lewis are coming off the bench tonight, technically. So
oh, you're sneaky.
Take a look at the individuals. There's Stevens with 7 points leading the way. Troy Lewis. Tony Jones got the start here tonight in the backcourt. Todd Mitchell. Get a look at Illinois State. Tony Hollifield really played a tough first half of play. Key there, though, is he has 3 personal fouls. Jeff Harris with 7 points. Peterson with 6. Illinois State will inbound to start the second half of play. Redbirds are trailing by 6. Last year, it was, 96-54, Purdue over Illinois State in West Lafayette. The worst defeat ever suffered by a Bob Donwald coached Redbird team. Randy Blair starts it across. This is Harris.
And they got the 3-guard offense in there again now. Blair and Starks and Jeff Harris.
Peterson and Hollifield up front. Look at tempo in this ball game, Jim Gibbons.
Well, I think the tempo in the first 20 minutes was exactly where Bob Donowall wanted it. He wants a low-scoring game, but the thing is, his people just didn't execute in the half-court game as well as he wanted them to.
Here's Hollifield. Plays it back outside to Harris. 10 to go now on the shot clock here. Harris picked up on the switch by Ryan Burning. Has to force it. Very nearly got it. Peterson can't handle it. Neither can Mitchell. Burning gets it back. Boilermakers on the attack. Good feed from Lewis to McCants on the block.
That's the one thing the last 7 or 8 minutes that Purdue was doing well in the first half, Wayne. They were starting to get the ball down inside better, and maybe they're going to just continue right now.
Purdue's lead is 8 points. That's their largest of the evening. Harris starts. Good feed. Hollifield. Nicely done. Seeing some good passes, Coach.
That's a great entry pass, and that's good recognition.
Opening 2 minutes of play. Second half. Purdue's lead has been sliced to 6. You're watching the Boilermakers on offense. Todd Mitchell. Stevens with a good move around Starks, and it's slapped away, and Starks gets it back. The lead for Hollifield is off the mark. I saw you grimace, Jim Gibbons, as a coach. That had to hurt.
Boy, when you've got a guy down there, he was wide open about 3 seconds before Todd Starks even saw him, Wayne. Then I don't have any idea where he was passing that ball. It was completely behind him.
Todd has struggled a bit in the preseason practices for Illinois State. Mitchell, good feed. Stevens on the drive. Good hustle, Randy Blair. To Jeff Harris. Nice move. Gene Katie. And the look tells all from the Purdue bench.
See, that's transition defense, and that's what Gene doesn't like, and that's what Purdue has been giving up much too much of.
Here comes the crowd. Purdue on the attack. This is Stevens, number 21. Starks knocked it away. It's up for grabs, and the Redbirds have it. Purdue by 4. Illinois State to close within 2. Or 1 if that man hits from 3-point range. Peterson wide open, waited for Burning. I don't know why he waited.
And certainly if you're going to wait, Wayne, when that defensive man comes out, that's when you've got to make that move forward toward the basket. He's going one way, you're going the other.
Hollifield saved to Harris. Tony Hollifield with excellent defense. Boy, he filled the passing lane that time. Starks gets it back off the rebound. Jump ball indication, the alternating possession. Arrow pointing to Purdue.
He missed that first shot, Wayne. He didn't even come close. The ball bounced right back to him. He had a wide open shot, and you've got to take that shot. And Bob Donowell told me that young man's got to be more score conscious now with Matt Taphorn out for about a month. He's got to get some confidence up, and you can't get a better shot than that.
He was in close with a wide open jumper.
Doggy Julian used to say you can't get any closer than close.
Stevens passing cross court for the Cans. Gerard Coleman, number 52, with White playing defense for Illinois State back into the game. Mitchell, the veteran, takes him down low on the drive, and he's fouled. Todd Mitchell on the drive, the senior from Toledo, Ohio. Gerard Coleman, the sophomore, picks up the foul.
The State defense for the first 24 minutes or so, I think they have really done a good job on Mitchell. He has 6 points. Lewis has 6 points, 12 points between the two of them, and one's averaging 22 and the other 23 coming in, so they've shut them down pretty well.
The foul is on Cliff Peterson, not Gerard Coleman. Peterson picking up his first. That's the first team foul of the second half on Illinois State. Todd Mitchell at the line. Mitchell had made good on 3 from the free throw line of the first half of play. There's Gene Cady.
Young man's a streaky free throw shooter. A streaky free throw shooter. And boy, it's like anything else. Putting in golf or anything else. If you're hot, you're hot. You know, see? This is both of them.
Illinois State trailing by 4. Almost 4 minutes in, second half. Starks from deep. Peterson hustling the board. Two-point lead for Purdue. The pass stolen away by Peterson.
Boy, that's great when you can score at one end and come back and do that defensively at the other. That's great.
Harris, what a pass. Will the count? No. The foul is offensive on Jeff Harris. Oh, man, I'll tell you what a pass that was to Peterson.
Boy, that was a great pass. But see, the recognition factor comes in right here because he saw that man moving in. Was it Burning? 15 Burning coming in to take that charge. And if he just could have pulled himself up and made that pass, the execution would have been what Bob Donowell wanted.
We'll be back. Wayne Larrabee and Jim Gibbons, ESPN, glad to be on hand here at Horton Fieldhouse. Get a look at the second half numbers.
Only two shots for Purdue. 5 minutes practically.
Illinois State 3 of 7, 43%. Purdue out rebounding Illinois State 6-2 in the second half. Purdue basketball as we get back underway with 15:41 left to go. This is Everett Stevens, senior out of Evanston, Illinois. Tony Jones, Troy Lewis. Technically, they've got a 3-guard offense in the game now for Purdue. Kip Jones out front. Redbird's playing that man-to-man defense. Stevens loosens up at the baseline. Peterson the rebound. Boy, he's had a stellar second half of play thus far.
The matchups are pretty good right now, Wayne, because both teams, you just mentioned, Purdue's with a 3-guard offense, and so is Illinois State. And they're matching up inside pretty well with their big people.
Randy Blair. Peterson wants it back. Kip Jones had the rebound for a moment, but it took Melvin McCants to save it. This is Tony Jones. 5.5 minutes in, second half of play. Purdue leading by 2. McCants. Jones got the rebound, but did he push off?
Oh, he sure did. That's why he got the rebound, my friend. Pretty good call. Pretty good call. Boy, great weak side defense by Illinois State. As soon as that lob pass came in, they rotated, they double teamed, Perfect execution defensively.
Kip Jones now with 3 personal fouls. That's the first team foul on Purdue. You're watching the Redbirds of Illinois State on offense. Randy Blair out front. Gerard Coleman. Jeff Harris looks for the shot for 3. His second three-pointer of the game. Illinois State leads by a point. 6 minutes into the second half. Last time they led was 8:20 first half. Good feed to Kip Jones for an easy 2. Boilermakers right back on top, executing well in their half-court offense on that sequence. Out of the corner, it won't go for Blair. Blair on the follow, knocked it away. Tony Jones comes out of the pack. Good feed to Troy Lewis on the drive. Believe they're going to call it a blocking foul. Yep.
Pretty good call, too.
Jeff Harris picks up his 3rd personal. That's the 3rd on the team.
See, that's the transition that Bob Donowell said they've got to stop. What did he? Wait a minute. What did he?
He changed the apparently.
Player control foul. I am wrong. I'm sorry, Wayne. I am wrong. Jim Bain called the player control no basket.
Foul on Troy Lewis, his first second-team foul on Purdue. Redbirds trailing by 1. 37-36. Harris looking for room. Blair on the penetration, had it knocked away from behind. It'll belong to the Redbirds. Say the quickness, the hand quickness for Purdue, team-wise, is impressive defensively.
Both ways. You know, you play defense with your feet, Wayne, but you've got to supplement that foot movement with hand movement, and both of these teams, I think, do that exceptionally well.
Starts inside, off the inbound. Minutes left to go. Redbirds by a point.
See the overplay on the pass out?
Kip Jones on the weak side. McCants inside. Melvin McCants with 4 second-half points, has 5 in the game. This is Todd Starks, double-teamed. Jeff Harris. Nearly taken away by Tony Jones. Blair with a good feed. Coleman inside. Illinois State coach really starting to execute in the half-court game.
They're getting the ball inside, and they're doing more damage inside than they are in three-point range.
Troy Lewis has the step. Troy Lewis now with 8 points in the game.
See if they change defenses now. The Purdue coaches are up with the hand signals. Let's see if they're zoning. Yep, I think they're going to go into a zone for the first time, Wayne. There it is. Nice.
Coleman, nice feed to Peterson.
Boy, Gene is really unhappy. That really hurts you when they sneak in behind that zone.
Boilermakers trail by a point. Kip Jones on the drive. Jones got it back. McCants cleans up inside once again. McCants with 7 points, 6 of which have come here in the second stanza.
Tell you, getting a little more physical inside underneath both backboards, boy. They are both going after rebounds in a big way.
Peterson.
Still in the 2-3.
Harris from deep. Three-pointer by Jeff Harris.
And I don't know any better way to pull somebody out of it than to start hitting from the outside, I'll tell you that.
11 up. 11 minutes straight up to go. Timeout is called. Standing ovation for the Redbirds, who lead it by 2.
They call a foul on 25.
Watch this play by Jeff Harris.
Boy, and the picture tells it all. You're right. Watch it. Now listen, I talk a lot of times, Wayne, about smart players. I say they look at the flow of the game, they read everything, they see everything, and they understand it. And most players do that. Everyone looks, but very few people see what is going on at any given time, and that's where you separate them. And that young man that time knew exactly what was going on that floor. He saw it, he read it, he understood it, and made the pass that got him the basket.
Redbirds struggled from the field in the first half, but look what they've done in the second half to take the lead. They trailed by 6 at halftime. They now lead by 5.
And I want to tell you, Wayne, they're getting very good high percentage shots. Very good high percentage shots.
7:14 left to go. Purdue on offense. This is Tony Jones. Todd Mitchell out front. Tony Jones sets up the offense. 7 minutes straight up to go now in the game. Purdue trailing by 5. Mitchell gets the pick. Good feed. Scheffler for 2. Excellent pass down low to Scheffler, who now has 3 from the field and 6 points in the game.
Now you sit back and wonder how long it's going to be before Donowall puts Hollifield back in that game. He's got the 4 fouls. He's going to try to wait a couple of more minutes, I would suspect.
Harris, nice move. Points for Harris in the second half, 20 in the game. Purdue trailing by 5. Tony Jones. 5-second violation. You may have seen Gene Katie across the wing urging Tony Jones to quickly move it forward because he was in danger of being called for the 5-second violation.
That's just not good recognition, and those are the kinds of things that team is struggling with right now, and boy, that's critical at this point in the basketball game. Obviously, every possession is important for Purdue right now.
Tony Jones leads. Turnovers in the second half. Purdue 7. Illinois State lead 3. Troy Lewis back in the game for Purdue.
You know, this is where Illinois State should wait as long as they have to.
The foul will be offensive in this case against Randy Blair. His first, 6th on the team.
We're going to have to take a look at it, Wayne, because I'll be truthful with you. Let's see. Let's take a look now. He's leaving his feet. Now, if we can see it, maybe we can do it again, Gray, but if we can, 2 things. The defensive player has to have his feet planted now before that man leaves the air. And I think he was planted.
It looked like Melvin McCann's half position.
I think he was planted, and that's the thing you look for. Is he there before the offensive player takes off?
Just under 6 minutes left to go. 57-52. Illinois State leading Purdue. Boilermakers on the attack. Scheffler flips it back outside. Scheffler now on the drive. Boy, I tell you, he's had an excellent second half of play.
Now you know why Bob Donowall recruited that young man as hard as he did, because he wanted him to come to Illinois State. He's come off that bench, and he's doing a good job.
Strongest player on the Illinois State squad. He bench presses 300 pounds. Like we said, he's a tight end in football. Bo Schembechler wanted him to play for the Wolverines on the gridiron. Blair pulls up over McCants. A foul coming up against Purdue right here. Gene Katie trying to reason with Jim Bain. Todd Mitchell picks up the foul. To be honest with you, Jim Gibbons, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
maybe I've been watching the Big Ten too long. But
there was quite a crowd in there, and I was anxious the same as you when the call was made to see what was happening, because that whole 3-second lane in there was crowded with bodies, and really you couldn't see it, Wayne, so I can understand why you would say that.
That is the first on Mitchell. It is the 6th on the team. Randy Blair at the free throw stripe. 5:16 to go, and a 3-point lead for the Redbirds, and Blair misses a big one at the line.
See, at this stretch of the game, and I'll say it again, people can be tired, and you don't get the leg action into the free throws, you don't get it into your jump shots, and that can happen to you in the last, especially when you're playing as hard, and the intensity level is what it has been for this game.
The lead is 4 for the Redbirds. All of those factors you just mentioned, especially true early on in the season. Mitchell on the feed to McCants. McCants on the follow. We've got a foul this time. I believe it's Peterson. Cliff Peterson looked like he bumped him from behind. Picks up his second personal foul. That puts Illinois State now over the foul limit here in the second half.
Purdue has a bigger lineup in the basketball game right now, as you can see, with Scheffler in there at 6'9", and McCants at 6'9", and Mitchell at 6'7", because Mitchell is such a great leaper. But they are doing a very good job on that offensive board down there, Wayne, and that's going to be the telling point the last 5 minutes. Illinois State is going to have to get into their bodies and not give them second and third efforts.
Sophomore Sonny Roberts in the ball game, replacing Randy Blair for Illinois State. McCants converts on his first. Elvin McCants now with 7 second-half points, 8 in the game. Tony Jones back into the ball game, replacing Todd Mitchell for Purdue. McCants can slice the disadvantage to 2. 5 minutes left to go.
There's the press.
Not the aggressive full court 94-foot press we saw in the first half off the main free throws.
They'll do it 3 ways: 1-2-1-1, 2-2-1, and the man-to-man. But that time it was kind of passive.
Harris trying to free himself up around a pick by Peterson. Coleman wide open. 4.5 to go in the game. The Redbirds continue to lead.
Todd Starks has done a pretty decent job on Stevens.
Troy Lewis, good movement away from the ball.
Much better second half of action, Wayne, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. This is Harris. Both teams have executed much better offensively in the second half.
Much more patient.
The foul is on Todd Starks after Everett Stevens knocked it away.
Boy, he's just saying turnaround is fair play, because that's exactly what they've been doing to him all night, just reaching in, putting the pressure on him. He just reached in and stole that ball right away. And it goes back again. Watch the foot movement in the hand. There's the hand movement. Okay? As soon as he started making that move toward him, that's when Todd Starks should have made his move offensively.
Well, the change in the lineup, Todd Mitchell back on, and Steve Scheffler leaves. Scheffler with a career high of 8 points tonight. Mitchell back into the game. Todd Mitchell's been relatively quiet for him, just 9 points. Everett Stevens at the free throw line. Stevens now gets the extra. He has 9 points. Stevens could tie the game right here with 3:55 left to go. Three minutes, 55 seconds left to be played. We are tied at Horton Fieldhouse in Normal, Illinois. Contend mightily for the Big Ten championship this year. Another favorite for the Big Ten championship, the Purdue Boilermakers. 60 apiece, we're tied. 3:55 left to go. The last tie we had was way back in the first half of play at 20 apiece. That was what, about 8 minutes left to go in the first half. That last tie prior to this one. Illinois State basketball. Purdue in the dark uniforms, Illinois State in white, the red trim. This is Todd Starks.
Now they've got the advantage. Let's see if they're going to set up or go for it.
Harris, boy, they're right on him now, that three-point line. He hit 3 in a row from three-point range earlier in the second half. Starks. Purdue on this possession can take the lead. McCants starts it with a rebound. Everett Stevens content to work the half-court offense. Tony Jones nearly knocked away by Randy Blair.
Look at the hands. Look at the great hands.
Two great quick players right there in Stevens and Starks. Troy Lewis, number 23. 15 to go on the shot clock. Plenty of time. 3:05 to go in the game. We're tied at 60. Purdue on the attack. 3 minutes straight up to go. 7 on the shot clock. McCants Well done by the Boilermakers. Melvin McCann's having quite a second half of play. He's got 10 in the second half.
Very patient and really the way to work that clock. That was a good entry pass.
Illinois State trailing by 2. This is Harris. Mitchell, good position on the rebound, and Peterson guilty of the foul. Went over the back, his third personal.
Donowall's going to get a timeout because he just hasn't been happy with the last 2 possessions, Wayne. That time, I've watched Jeff Harris take the last 2 shots, and I really don't think he got into either one of the last 2 shots.
2:38 left to be played. Purdue has recaptured the lead by 2. There you get a look at the story on Purdue. Their last 6 non-conference road games and 9 of their last 10, they've come out victorious. You know, I don't know if you realize this, Jim Gibbons, but Purdue owns the best Big Ten record over the past 6 years. Yes, better than Indiana, better than Illinois, better than Michigan. The Boilermakers 74-34. Indiana close second though at 73-35.
Well, that's what's so ironic about Gene Cady. You know, he's won 2 Big Ten championships and 5 straight 20-win seasons. You know, 7 postseason tournaments. You can't do much more than that young man has done since he came over from Western Kentucky. And I'll tell you one thing, he's graduated 20 out of 22 basketball players, I think I read, and runs the kind of a program you can be proud of.
Mitchell at the line. Missed on the one-and-one opportunity. There's Peterson for the rebound. Redbirds can tie with a field goal here. 2.5 minutes to go.
Both teams in the one-and-one. The possession arrow is going towards Illinois State right now.
Hollifield. McCants with a big rebound. And he did not have great position on that play. Great athletic ability is what he had going for him.
He wanted the basketball. Now they're going to spread it out and go into a 4-corner. 3 out, 2 in.
Coming up on 2 minutes left to be played. Purdue leading by 2.
Yeah, this is going to be quickness against quickness out front, Wayne.
Stevens gets the step. They play it back outside. Under 2 minutes remaining. 1:50 to go.
Donowall's saying get back. Why chase him out there when you've still got 16 seconds left on the shot clock? You don't want to start chasing him out there and giving him an advantage.
10 seconds now to go on the shot clock.
Here, now you can pack it in and play your defense.
Mitchell saved to the wrong side. Redbirds have a one-man advantage at the moment. Hollifield inside for the tying hoop, and he's fouled.
Pretty good recognition by Illinois State because they saw Todd Mitchell go out of bounds and they knew they had a one-man advantage. Nice entry pass. Nice pass. Hollifield sees where the position is, figures he's going to get up. Almost got it blocked, but he got hacked.
Foul is on Melvin McCants, his 4th personal. Purdue now over the foul limit. Timeout taken by the Boilermakers. 1:25 to go. Purdue leading 62-60. Special thanks tonight. I'd like to thank a few people who helped us out this week. Alan Karpik and Mark Adams of Purdue, Tom LaMonica and his staff at Illinois State. The sports information offices did well on this holiday week to help get us prepared. And Ron English, our statistician from the Missouri Valley Conference office. Special thanks to those people who helped make our job here tonight a little easier. There's Coach Bob Donwald. Done an excellent job with this program here at Illinois State. Gene Cady, we talked about his prowess for Purdue. Only 1 season in the years that he's been at Purdue. If they failed to win 20 games, and that year they won 18.
Yep. It's amazing with Bob Donowald, 10th year at Illinois State, the dean of Missouri Valley coaches, if you can believe it.
Big free throws right here for Hollifield. Missed on the first. 2-shot foul here. He'll have another. Could bring Illinois State back to within 1.
Watch the extension. I was watching him shoot free throws the last 2 days. Now, see, he didn't even get into that. He didn't dip in the knees, and he didn't take the wrist and dump it right into the front of. Now, that's a little better. Okay?
1 out of 2 at the line for Hollifield. Redbirds trail by a point. Boilermakers with 1:22 to go.
Now they're going to try to go out into the deep. Now, let's see what Illinois State does. Let's see if they come out. Because they're going to get the ball back. Illinois State's going to get another possession. The big thing is they've got to turn them down right here.
There's the second half shooting story. Purdue much improved over the last time we checked. Shot well down the stretch. Under a minute to go now.
So you've got no delay of game now. You used to have that before, but there's no delay of game if you want to sit out there and hold it.
1 point lead for Purdue. Stevens on the penetration.
Oh, that's a big basket.
Timeout. Illinois State with 45 seconds to go. Big bucket. Purdue with a 3-point lead, and now Mr. Harris, the 6'4" senior from Indianapolis, Indiana, out of Lawrence North High School, becomes ever so important for Illinois State. A 3-point artist for the Redbirds.
I would say you're exactly right, and you have to know that that's what Gene Cady is talking with his coaches about right now. The one thing you've got to do is to extend that defense on Jeff Harris right now, because standing up right there, the assistant coach, been with Gene 8 years.
Gene Cady of the Purdue bench.
It was obvious, Wayne, wasn't it, that they were talking about Jeff Harris?
Absolutely.
We picked that part up. Now, the other thing that Bob that he wants to do is to force them, if they're going to get a bucket, to get that 2-pointer, so you're still one ahead. You're going to get the ball back. But now Illinois State has to figure out which Purdue player are they going to foul to put at that free throw line. They're looking for the worst free throw shooters if they have to force to foul.
Perhaps to ice the shooter, so to speak. Tony Jones of the free throw line has not shot a free throw yet this year in competition. In the first 2 games, and here tonight he has not been to the free throw stripe. He has 6 points, all of which came in the first half of play. You're getting a look right there at the Redbird huddle. I was a little surprised they didn't take a little more time, the Redbirds I'm talking now, in that last possession and try to maybe set up the outside shot. It must have been a situation whereby if Starks or someone had the position inside to go for it, to go ahead and knock it in, because you still have perhaps over 40 seconds or 35 seconds left to go. Now you're down to 18 seconds off the miss.
I think I'm agreeing.